Hello everyone, and welcome to Luxury by Design. In this video, you, the fortunate viewer, are going to get 10 doses of the most luxurious prisons in the world. Some of these prisons in our list are so palatial that you'll ponder committing a crime just to live there in bliss and complete satisfaction. So hit that thumbs up button, subscribe with the notification bell for future updates. Number 1. Spain's Aranjuez Prison. This prison understands the importance of family, so the Aranjuez prison allows children to live with their parents and not be left in the care of others. If mothers or fathers are sentenced, Aranjuez prison has been set up to ensure that as few children as possible are left with only one parent, or even worse, left at an orphanage. Throughout the country and several other criminal justice experts worldwide, the prison is known as being the premier prison for families because children can actually live with their parents. Of course, this is not an ideal way for a child to grow up, but we can't deny that children in their formative years are probably safer and altogether better off than living in a broken home. Overall, this method seems to be far more superior than the alternative for the child's emotional and moral development. Aranjuez prison is notable for being the only prison in the world with cells for families. Usually, if a baby is born to an inmate, the child is sent to live with family on the outside or goes into foster care. But this Spanish prison allows the children to stay with their parents behind bars up until they're 3 years old. The child has enough toys and other children to play with and still gets to bond with their parents. The prison hopes to give families a better chance of a normal life after their sentence is served, so they've implemented a great plan to keep the nuclear family intact and provide a smooth transition after convicts are released. Number 2. Norway's Halden Prison. You've probably heard of this prison, as it's notorious for being the home of mass murderer Anders Breivik, who killed 77 people on July 22nd of 2011 in a bomb attack in Oslo and a mass shooting at a summer camp for children. But its infamous inmates aren't the only reason it's famous. The prison offers single-person cells that have private bathrooms and shared kitchens between 12 people, making this more like a local community living in a villa rather than a prison. Norway's Halden prison is used for people serving long periods of time and comes with a library, a climbing wall because staying in shape is important, and even a recording studio for purposes that still eludes many people. Perhaps Halden prison overemphasizes the importance of the musical arts. And since the Halden prison offers its inmates club activities, television, comfortable sofas and beds, it really almost seems like a hostel rather than a prison. This is another case of a prison that really tries to target rehabilitation over punishment, and they're popping up around Europe more often. Number 3. Chile's Cordillera Jail. This prison in Santiago, Chile, is another extraordinary example of a prison that seems more like an upscale lake house than the stereotypical prison. It's the only prison to have housed only 10 inmates who were former military officials convicted of crimes against humanity. This low-security prison offers a tennis court, a pool, barbecues, private bathrooms, and even personal trainers, if you can wrap your head around that. The inmates live in private cabins and enjoy conditions far better than other prisons in Chile, including residents across the world. However, this prison has often been under a lot of scrutiny, criticized for giving special treatment to its inmates, especially after a high-profile inmate, Manuel Contreras, mocked the prison guards, saying their only purpose was to hold his cane. The Chilean president ordered the prison to be shut down in 2013, and all the inmates were transferred to another special prison for human rights violators. Number 4. Sweden's Sollentuna Prison. If you've ever taken a crash course into criminology, or watched some movies to get an idea of the typical prison, you're aware that most prisoners have to rely on their own body weight for exercise, create makeshift workout techniques like running laps in the yard, or depend on sharing government-issued weights in order to stay in shape while serving out their sentence. But in Sollentuna prison in Sweden, inmates have access to a fully loaded modern gym. They're able to cook their own meals and watch TV on their own couch. Aside from the fact that they are confined, it pretty much seems like being at home. And for your information, prisons in Sweden have actually been closing down because of lack of prisoners. Unlike laws like the '94 crime bill in the US that fed the prison industrial complex, Sweden has chosen to spend the majority of their time, money, and energy on working to prevent and reduce crime, to allow inmates to have the opportunity to grow and rejoin society as a productive member when their stay is over. Number 5. Germany's JVA Fußbüttel Prison. In the JVA Fußbüttel prison in Hamburg, Germany, the decor is reminiscent of a castle. spacious cells including a living room area, desk, and private bathroom with a shower. Inmates also have access to brand new washers and dryers to do their laundry, walk on spotless floors, and lounge around in recreation rooms with a telephone. And their cells come with a sofa, bed, coffee table, desk, and private shower and toilet. Almost like staying in a hotel, except you're behind bars. Number 6. Indonesia's Pondok Bambu Prison. This women's prison in Jakarta, Indonesia, holds mostly drug-related offenders and is one of the few prisons to have a methadone clinic to help former drug users kick their habit. To pass the time, the inmates attend beading classes or visit the beauty salon at an extra cost. There are also regular karaoke nights, and if inmates would rather lounge in their cell, they can opt for an upgrade as long as they have the money. And they usually do, because the inmates are some very wealthy people. And the prison is focused on rehabilitation for former addicts and hopes to help reduce the prevalence of HIV amongst drug users in Indonesia. Number 7. Switzerland's Camp de Lon Prison. Here's an interesting example of how a prison that was haunted with the typical problems of overcrowding, riots, and disease allocated $40 million to give it a facelift, and it all made a 180. In Geneva, Switzerland, the Anti-Torture Committee of the Council of Europe gave it a bad review in 2008, and Switzerland decided to correct itself. A whole new wing was built, which includes triple occupancy cells, each with their own bathroom. This lowered the incidental injury and murders, and now the conditions in the prison have been described as being as comfortable as a 3-star hotel. Number 8. Austria's Justice Center, Leoben. If you ever head to Austria's Justice Center, Leoben, you'll notice there are 2 inscriptions on the perimeter of this prison. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights, which is taken from the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. And all persons deprived of their liberty shall be treated with humanity and with respect for the inherent dignity of the human person. Therefore, the walls of this prison are made of wood and shatterproof glass, and some cells even have balconies, even though they still have bars. A prison is a prison, yes. Single-person cells include private bathrooms and a shared kitchen. Plus, prisoners are allowed to wear their own clothes, because as the warden explains, the more normal a life you give them, the less necessary it is to re-socialize them when they leave. And that makes perfect sense. Number 9. Norway's Bastøy Prison. This minimum security prison in Norway is located on Bastøy Island and is surprisingly working towards becoming the first ecological prison in the world. Inmates live in wooden cottages and work on the prison farm. Then, during their leisure, they have access to activities such as horseback riding, fishing, tennis, and cross-country skiing. This seems to be an amazing rehabilitation center, true to the definition. The prison was awarded the 2014 Blanche Major Reconciliation Prize for, quote, promoting human values and tolerance. And now, the reoffending rate of inmates after leaving the prison is around 16%, compared to the European average of 70%. So this is a true indication that their rehabilitation system seems to be righteous. Number 10. Scotland's Adderwell Prison. Their aim is to change lives for the better. This prison is another prime example of a true rehabilitation center. Adderwell opened in 2008 and is run by Sodexo Justice Services under the contract to the Scottish Prison Service. It houses convicted and untried adult males and is situated in the village of Adderwell, in the central belt of Scotland between Glasgow and Edinburgh. Adderwell is designed as a learning prison where residents can address their offending behavior and the circumstances which led to their imprisonment through purposeful activity. This prison pretty much has an amazing mission of care, as their goal is to promote diversity and inclusion, eliminating discrimination and meeting the diverse needs of all residents, employees, families, and visitors. And that wraps it up for the top 10 luxury prisons that are very much like homes and built for ultimate rehabilitation. Unlike many jailbirds, you're free to leave your comments down below, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts. And after you do, hit that thumbs up button, as that helps us out a lot. Subscribe with the notification bell for future videos. Until next time.